First down and 10 for the 13. Back to Daniel Jackson at quarterback. Low snap, rolls to the right side, throws up the back leg, and it's picked off again. It's Nolan Ewing who trots down the far sideline, dives to the end zone. It's a touchdown. Nolan Ewing, his third pick of the day, goes for 6 points. Jack Mullen under center in flex bone. Has the snap, 3-step drop, lobs it up, left side, Kevin Green, back in the end zone. He has it! Touchdown, Falcons! Arnold under center out of the flex bone. Gives out the Zach Dressler is here on the near side to the 30. Makes a cut in the middle to the 15, to the 10. Stumbling inside the 5, and he's hit it to the end zone for a Falcon touchdown. What's going on, everyone? Voice of the Friends Falcons, Pat Strathman here with another edition of the Friends Football Show from Walk-On Sports Bistro in Wichita, the best place to be for game day. And let's be real, this past weekend was very rainy. Probably didn't want to go outside. Well, you still want to get kind of that atmosphere. That's where Walk-On Sports Bistro comes into play. You can always come out to Walk-On's, plenty of TVs. They have all the college football games on. They have NFL. They have all the wonderful stuff. Come out to Walk-On Sports Bistro and enjoy the atmosphere, but most importantly, enjoy the food, because the food is always solid here. It is game day food with a southern twist. Head football coach Terry Harrison here in the house, and he's a happy man. I don't know if he has warmed up yet from the performance on Saturday, but what a win for the Friends Falcons as they pummeled the Bethel Threshers 43-0. The game was called with about 5 minutes to play in the third quarter. Bunch of rain, lightning delay. Doesn't sound like fun, but for those that don't know Terry Harrison, every time I made the trek down from Salina and talk with Coach Harrison, I'll always look at him and be like, is it blank weather today? And is it Falcon weather today? Yep. And I'm sure on Saturday you're like, let's go. It's Falcon weather. It's BTF weather. It's what it is. Yep. And certainly watching film, you could tell you guys were ready to rock and roll. You guys were mentally and physically prepared. Yes, it was cold. Yes, it was rainy. Yes, you had a delay. So many different obstacles that you had to overcome, and you did. Yeah. With thrilling fashion, too, winning 43-0 over Bethel. So let's start there. Have you warmed up?
No, not at all. Okay. No, actually maybe a little today. Man, it was, it's one of those deals. It was definitely cold and wet and awesome. And I think I posted on something, we took our seniors whitewater rafting this summer, and it was like 40 degrees. Lightning. It was exactly what we just played in. We went whitewater rafting for about 32 miles in that. And so, unfortunately, when you're in the water in a whitewater raft, there's no stopping. You just got to go, And so it reminded me of that, borderline hypothermic. But, man, it's fun and one of those deals. That will absolutely be one of the games that our kids never forget, it will be legendary, And so to be able to play really well in that environment, so many people and programs talk about toughness, but it is cool whenever you get in that moment and you have an opportunity to say, are you tough or not? I mean, I think our kids show that they really are. And so very fun, crazy, but, yeah, it was pretty miserable out there.
Yeah, it looked like fun, but watching film, I'm sure the camera recorder, I'm sure he was probably like, hey, we got to wipe off the glass. We got to wipe it off again, like every other play, because that's how much rain that was there taking place. And anytime I'm watching anyone run, I'm just seeing these splashes, these big puddles, and I'm like, mercy. Well, I know you watch football, and sometimes you look at teams and you're like, wow, they're maybe not the fastest team out there. We'll try running in that, because I don't want to run in that, that's for sure. But overall, 43-0 being the final score. I know that the game was called in the third quarter, but you guys were able to do so many different things. Defensively, you guys were able to hold Bethel to under 100 yards of total offense through 2.5 quarters, 2.5 plus, maybe 2 3/4, whatever you want to do. Offensively, you guys were able to get out on the edges a couple times and really found some explosive plays despite having those puddles of water that could slow you down. So I don't know where to start. So you already kind of talked about how historically it was. It's something that you guys are going to remember for quite some time to go to 7-2. But in terms of both offense, defense, special teams wise, your overall thoughts with how things played out on Saturday?
Yeah, I thought our kids did a really good job. What happened was we had a game plan going in that we felt very comfortable about. Even if it wasn't raining, we felt really good about going into that, where we're at as a program and offensively, defensively, as far as the plan. But what it sure seemed like was that first quarter we were both trying to stick with the plan a little bit, and it wasn't going to be one of those games, and I think it was kind of one of those games that showed like who's willing to adjust and say, okay, what do we need to do today to win in this circumstance? The field's underwater, ball's slippery. Being able to pitch the ball was tough. Being able to snap the ball was hard. It took an extreme amount of focus to do that on both sides. And I think what our kids did a really good job was that. I don't even know if narrowing the game plan is necessarily the way to describe it, but just adjusting the game plan a little bit to focus on, okay, in this weather, given these circumstances, what can we do to give ourselves a chance to win? And it just really felt like as a program we did a better job of that, for different reasons. But our kids, man, really embraced that. It was awesome to see. Both sides had mistakes. They had some snaps on the ground because they were shotgun snapping, and we had some footballs that we had two hands on the ball and it just came out. And it was just slippery, slick. I mean, it was hard, and hard to hold on to stuff. And so our kids did a really good job of they understood, hey, it might be a game like that. It's hard to kick, because the ball is waterlogged and all that stuff. I think our guys did a really good job of just being very mature, understanding the circumstance, and then coming off this side and saying, okay, what do we need to do here to win? And, I felt like in the second quarter that was a big deal. And then obviously coming in after half, it was really our kids very proud that they were in coaches that they were able to do that.
What happens when you have a delay? I know you guys didn't get things started and then stop. At least based on what I know. I think you guys just had a delay at the beginning.
Right.
Then you played until halftime, and then third quarter, and then that's when things officially stopped there in the third quarter. But what do you do when now it's not like you're traveling all the way to Springfield, Missouri, so
right.
that's a little bit different. But still, though, you're talking about playing a game at 1 o'clock, and you guys, when'd you get started?
Yeah, I don't even remember. It was crazy because
that's
we were on
right?
Yeah, we're on the field in warm-ups, then we got the delay, and it took several hours, or a couple hours for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Because we kicked off at
3 o'clock,
right?
3, yeah. So you're having to kill time for 2 hours.
Right.
You have a bunch of grown men in there that are probably starving. They're probably super energetic. They're all ready to rock and roll. And then once you stop things, you have to kind of somehow bottle it up as a coach. And I don't know the secret to bottling something like that up.
We might know. I don't know if we do or not. I will say that we are undefeated in lightning delay games as a staff, and so we take great pride in that. It's something we throw out all the time.
I mean, it's not McPherson where you have 4 lightning delays.
Exactly right. But we've never lost in a lightning delay, including our high school coaching careers. So anytime we've ever had lightning delays, we're generally good for one a year, if not one every couple of years. Like, it's going to happen. It's really hard, though, like you mentioned. And so the hardest thing is, your kids are getting amped up, and they're out there in this cold rain trying to get ready to go. And it's tough to get motivated for that. And they finally get going. You're about to kick off, and then, boom, lightning delay. And the hardest thing is to go in and be like, look, guys, I don't know how long this is going to last. And so what you've got to do is have all that energy you had, bottled up or ready to go, you got to get off your feet, sit down, lay down, and, in the locker room there, it was just a concrete floor and a wooden bench that goes around, a pretty small space. And so it's like, hey, try to get as comfortable as you can. Take your stuff off and just relax. And so it's hard because especially, it's just riding this roller coaster of emotions. And so, man, what our kids did, it was really cool. Basically what we did is, hey, take your stuff off, take your shoes off, lay down. It's probably going to be a couple hours. There was no Wi-Fi. I told them it was like camping, man. It was like going back, 100 years. There's no Wi-Fi down in this basement, Lay down and try to just chill a little bit and relax because we're going to play. And we anticipated playing till midnight. We're like, look, guys, we ain't going nowhere. We're going to ride this thing out. It might take all night, all day. Mm-hmm. And so we did that, and then at the logistics side of, we had food ordered for after the game. But immediately we get pushed, talk to Coach Kemp, and he gets on the horn, hey, let's get some food for these guys right now. He goes in and buys food, and he goes to the grocery store and to Sonic just so we had some hot food for them so that they could not be sitting there starving. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, that's kind of what we did, sat there and chilled out. It's fun, just sitting there. I was sitting there with Keegan Martin talking to him about, life stuff. And so that was it's kind of fun, like those things. You go around and talk to guys, and so that's kind of that was very cool and very fun, and it just again makes it a memory that you're never going to forget, especially then to halftime seemed like a time. After you do that for 2 hours, halftime was like immediately went by. Like I feel like we didn't even sit down in there. Kids are in there shaking. I mean, seriously, they were in there shaking, getting hypothermia. And then we came back in the second delay, and it's like, hey guys, lay down and do the same exact thing you just did. Try to get some food, and I tell them like, bro, we they can forfeit, but we ain't stopping. We're gonna play, and so they got all jacked up. Like, now calm down and lay down, So I don't know, man. It was cool, but it is one of those deals. It's kind of it's hard. And I think in the middle, you don't even realize how fun it is until after. You know what I mean? Like Now we look back and it's all fun. Our kids have been laughing and joking about it. In the middle of it, though, it is definitely a stressful, cold, miserable feeling.
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine. I'm trying to picture Coach Harrison playing a game of charades, trying to keep them entertained, because you don't have any Wi-Fi, no nothing. Then I'm sure there were many people going, "What, Coach? What do I do?"
Yeah.
So I'm sure that's why Keegan probably got caught in the mode of thinking about life, because for the first time he got so psyched up, and now it's like, no, well, what do I do for the next couple of hours? I guess I just sit and talk about life for a little bit more. Head football coach Terry Harrison here on the Friends Football Show on ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM. Friends with a 43-0 win over Bethel to go to 7-2. Up next for Friends, taking on McPherson at Riverfront Stadium at 1 o'clock. Highly recommend coming out and checking out college football here in this town. Certainly you can do that at Adair Austin Stadium, but this will be a different feel coming up on Saturday at Riverfront Stadium. Let's try to break it down offensively and defensively here a little bit. Offensively, I was telling you before we officially started talking, my coach, I don't think I've ever seen a 50-yard quarterback sneak before for a touchdown, but that's exactly what I saw on film. I had to go back and watch it 8 times, and I'm like, what is going – that happened. How did this happen? But I guess when things are going right, and you got certain reads, and that's what happened. But it wasn't just Kavonte Baker on Saturday. Laken Cloud has looked quick. Normally he's kind of a powerful back, but he looked like kind of his old days of just playing halfback, in shotgun formation and running out on the edges. Jet Cheatham looking fast, even despite it is a little wet out there. So you had some different guys break away for some long touchdowns, and everyone gets caught up in flex mode being short runs and just try and do 3 yards in a cloud of dust type of thing. But even despite having all that rain and water on the ground, you guys found some explosive plays. So how did that happen on Saturday?
Well, a couple things. I really wish it wouldn't have been raining, because we had a really good plan to pop them on the perimeter, and I think we would have done that had it not been quite as wet. So that actually played probably to their benefit even more than ours, as crazy as that sounds, with the style of offenses they do and we do. But you know what? We had a pretty good, very close to that staff, obviously, and we had a pretty good idea of what they were probably going to do, and honestly, and they did the exact same thing they did the year before. So we had a pretty good beat on them as far as maybe some ways we could take advantage of stuff. Obviously, you still got to go block, and you still got to make plays and all that good stuff. But the fact is, they gave us back-to-back, the same plan back-to-back years, and so man, we were able to. We're able to take advantage of that and do some things that was really hard on them to defend, given what their plan was. And so quarterback sneak just happened to be one of them. We were laughing because Coach Kelly was wanting it earlier, but it was kind of that dagger we had, hey, we'll use it when we need it type of deal. And we had such great field position early. We wanted to use it to eat the field up and not get to it too early, because we wanted them to keep doing some of the stuff they were doing. So anyway, super cool. I told some of those guys, we did that back at Heights High School to people a lot. There were a couple of schools at the high school level that played the exact same defensive plan against us as Bethel has given us, and so we and it worked all the time there. And so we knew we had a pretty good idea it might go, and that's not the first time. So for me, I've seen Kavonte score on that exact play in that same scenario, and it's just like a head scratcher. Everybody was like, what in the world, and so but it was definitely no surprise to us. And Coach Kelly was the one hey, it's time, man. And it was it was very cool, and our kids were going nuts on the sideline, because it was one that kind of really, that felt like the one that really took the breath out of Bethel for sure. And so that was awesome. And like you mentioned, some of the things we were doing with Laken when he popped that run was, number one, he made a great play on a secondary defender, but our receiver did a really good job of getting a block on a play side linebacker for him. So that was awesome. And then one of the formations we threw at him was something we haven't done on film yet this year. They had struggle adjusting, and that was when they over adjusted is when Jet scored on that long sweep to end the half, which put us up 19-0, which was really man, that's a commanding lead in that environment when they were struggling. Right, wrong, or indifferent, it was just cold and wet, and their center was having a really hard time getting the ball back to the quarterback. And you could kind of tell, like, they're not going to score a lot. Even if they pop one on us, they just really seem to be struggling on offense. So that 19-0 at half was it was pretty big time.
What, did you and A.B. Stokes decide to say, hey, back in 1906, the forward pass became a legal thing. Let's just go back to the 1800s and just do nothing but run the football.
Well, we were laughing about it for sure. The funny part is I think they might have attempted more rushes than us this year. We have a higher average, per rush, what we're actually, accomplishing with the run the ball, but they run the ball quite a bit. They don't throw it that much. But we called a couple pass plays. Our Cavante did a great job of deciding, hey, it's not open, and he scrambled. So, I don't think they called any pass plays. We did. We just Cavante did a really good job of deciding, hey, this ain't the down for that, and trying to live to fight another day. It would have been cool to get to the fourth quarter because we had run the ball, so well. Mm-hmm. A lot like the Tabor game, it might have been a situation where we had some stuff ready to roll as far as throwing some passes in the air, which would have been super cool because everybody in the stadium would have lost their minds to a forward pass in that game. But it gets down to the risk reward on a game like that is no coach is wrong. I don't blame them. In the same way, it was really hard it was scary. It was hard enough to get a snap, much less trying to throw the ball 30 or 40 yards in the air. So
yeah, for sure. Well, defensively, DJ Sears is a very tough quarterback to slow down. You ran 18 times, had a net rushing total of 1 yard, which I know the weather does play a little bit of a factor. You do have to credit that, as well as just the snaps and everything. But you guys are ready to rock and roll, and you and I were talking a little bit about, well, how do you game plan against Bethel and how to slow them down. Whenever DJ Sears can get the running, it becomes a nightmare for the defense. So that is priority number one, is slowing them down, which you guys were able to do on Saturday. Credit to the defense out there.
Yeah, they did a fantastic job. He's been that kid's been very electric his whole time in the conference. He's been a very, very good player. Last year he scored a couple on us late, which is how they ended up getting ahead of us late in the game last year. And so that was certainly a priority of ours, and I thought our defense did an awesome job of that, and so, they were playing in the same weather we were, and our quarterback are running pretty long touchdown runs, and so it's one of those deals where, man, our kids could have laid down in the water, and they didn't, and they were making plays on that guy, and it really, you could feel the momentum, man, and especially that third quarter, man, our defense was flying around as good as we've ever had, as far as, man, they were trying to strike people. They were having fun out there. They were embracing the tough guy mindset and this idea of being in the cold and miserable. And, it felt like our guys definitely wanted to keep playing more and more and more, and maybe not necessarily on the other side. And, I think they basically, it felt like they took his will away to me, and that's what we do that. We try to do that every week, by the way. But given the conditions, the complimentary football, man, it was hard, to play on offense for Bethel Saturday, and our defense it's all credit to those guys because they did a phenomenal job.
Well, your top two guys, Shamarius Davis led the way with 9 tackles, a tackle and a half for loss. Cooper Skrobecky, I know I asked you about him last week, and he had 8 tackles, 4.5 for loss. Those two guys combining for 17 tackles. About the 17, 6 of those are going for negative yardage, and anytime you can have negative plays for the opposing offense, that's exactly what Coach Kemp is looking for.
Yeah, the tackles for loss, man, it was big time, and those guys were in some really bad down and distances, on Saturday, and so that's the thing. Shotgun snaps are cool until they're not, and then, they were able to make a bunch of negative plays. And then, talking about DJ, man, one of the plays that I distinctly remember, Cooper, reached out, tackled him with one hand and pulled him down. And I was like, that's when I knew, like, okay, well, our guys are ready to roll, because, that guy doesn't get tackled very, very often by one hand. And Cooper was able to do that. And there was a lot of guys. Golly, Bryson made the best play that he's made in our time here on our nose guard made a tackle on a jet sweep, which was super cool, and, man, just a lot of striking. I don't know what to do with, man. We had helmets. Our dudes were snapping face masks. It was crazy. We had broken helmets because our guys were flying around and striking, and so it was not fun to deal with that on the equipment side, but definitely fun. Like, man, these guys are like playing big boy football out here, and so very proud of them for doing that for sure.
Terry Harrison, head football coach of the Friends Falcons, here on the Friends Football Show on ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM. 43-0 win over Bethel to go to 7-2 on the season. 2 more games left. The next one up against McPherson at Riverfront Stadium at 1 o'clock. You can catch a game on the KCAC Network, as well as Yearview 22. So we're looking forward to that coming up on Saturday. Coach, before we get to the game itself, you get to play on grass coming up on Saturday. Didn't get a chance to talk to the head groundskeeper at the Riverfront Stadium of the Wichita Wind Surge. Ben Hartman does an incredible job. So I bet you the field is pristine because I know Ben. I know how he operates. The guy is awfully good when it comes to that. But when you go do something like this, instead of playing at Adair Austin Stadium, you're playing at a different stadium, you're playing on grass. How does a coach prepare for something like that?
Well, the cool part is we've been able to play at different stadiums, so it's this combination home field but away game, different stadium type of thing. But I will tell you this: Riverfront is a beautiful, beautiful stadium, and for people that haven't been there yet, I think I think it'll be a big time experience for everybody. I think it'll be, again. We want to win championships, and we want to compete for national championships, and we're going to certainly do that over however long that takes in Wichita. We're going to do that. But even more than that, we want to have these experiences that kids remember, And so playing in freezing cold rain will be something our kids will never forget. And I would argue that this experience will be something that they'll remember and something that sticks out as far as when they look back at their career at Friends. But no, we were able to tour the stadium several weeks ago whenever it was kind of thrown out there that maybe we might play there. We wanted to go check it out. But, man, I've walked on that grass, and it is pristine. They do just a fantastic job. I think this will be the 8th or 9th. They have a local high school series that plays there on Fridays. So they've hosted a bunch of games. So it's not like, they're not making it work. Like, it will be a first-class playing surface to play on. And we were able to walk on that field, and it was, man, just fantastic. And Ben,
big jumbotron.
Yeah, giant jumbotron. Awesome food, awesome drinks. Like, it'll be, I don't know, it'll be very cool, and it'll be very unique. They play bowl games in Yankee Stadium now. They played a bowl game at Wrigley Field. I mean, this is something that people are doing across the country, and then for us to be able to do that at Friends University and provide that experience for our kids, I think is I don't know, man. There's not many people that have this opportunity, and so we definitely want to embrace that, while we can. And so for us, what'll be neat is we will, we're going to be able to practice out there Friday, which is super cool, and our guys will get on the grass and get a feel for it. But that'll take a little bit of the edge off, I think, on Saturday and give us maybe a little bit of a home field advantage, which we should get, right? It's a home game for us. So that'll be cool. And then I think, like I said, I think our families will have a great time, and it'll be one of those deals that, everyone will enjoy it, and it'll be cool because we'll get to see, like, it's something we can do. We can do it moving forward. We can do it one or two more times, a year if it's something that goes really well. And, I think I've heard, or at least I don't know if this is completely true. I hate busting this out, but I mean, we're close enough, and we have the airport here. There's a chance that one day the NAIA National Championship could be in Wichita. And, Visit Wichita cool. has thrown that around. And so certainly – and it would be there. And so, it's kind of for us, this is a spot that could potentially one day host that game. And for us, we're getting experience playing there already. So I think that's, very cool, and that's how we're going to approach it as a program.
Yeah. Well, that'd be pretty sweet. I'm certainly looking forward to it with you seeing that there's practice taking place on Friday. Good. I'll be able to just walk on over and watch practice.
Short walk.
So it's not going to be all that difficult. Since ESPN Wichita's right there at Riverfront Stadium. So that's exciting. Well, the matchup itself could be exciting. When I take a look at McPherson, Jeremiah Fiskus, if you just want to kind of go and look at what they've done in the last couple of years, last year they had 5 losses. But with those 5 losses, they were razor thin. They were right there. They were right on the verge. This year, maybe not quite like right on the verge, like losing by a point, losing by 2, that type of thing. But against Evangel, they competed. They always seem to compete. Yeah. They always seem to be a team that is you're going to get their best shot. Mm-hmm. They're not going to, let you do whatever. Defensively, they've been really impressive to me this year. Offensively, they have a quarterback who's been around for a while in Tristan Szabo, who's been that guy can chuck it 55 times, and I don't think his arm's going to get tired. I think they're used to throwing the football. Now you don't have to worry about Jonathan White, who was really, really good last year, was the KCAC Offensive Player of the Year last year. So the guy can do some different things for sure. But when I take a look at McPherson, this is a formidable opponent. And this late in the game, I know some people want to look ahead and try to look ahead, but you can't do that with Mac. If you do that with McPherson any time of the year, you're going to get burned because McPherson always seems to be ready for the competition.
Yeah, we've been in some real battles with those guys. I mean, last year it came down to the wire and they kicked a field goal. You know, if you remember, on the last second, literally as time expired to win the game. And so, man, we were in a good battle with them last year. And like you mentioned, they've been right on the verge of kind of entering that top tier of the conference for the last several years, and they just hadn't quite cracked it. But they're arguably have been as talented as any of the top 3 and 4 teams, you know, in the conference. There's probably a lot of reasons for that, but what happens is it is definitely not a team that you can overlook. My anticipation is this will likely be a game that comes down to the wire, very competitive. They're defensively very, very impressive defensively. Love their linebackers and their defensive line. I think they're as good as anybody. So that'll be the challenge for us. You know, can we, you know, block those guys up front, number one. And then, as you mentioned, when you flip over to the offensive side, they may not have the oh my gosh, can't think of the kid from Evangel, number 4 right now. But that receiver, they may not have that level. Hester, yeah. They may not have that guy, but they're solid. You know, so maybe the deepest receiving core, even though they don't have maybe not the number 1 standout guy, and they're certainly close to it, but they definitely have the most depth there. And so that creates its own challenge, and they do really good stuff on offense and defense, and they do a great job as far as schematics. And so, yeah, it's an awesome challenge, you know, at the perfect time for us as far as this time of year when, you know, I think we're having our best practices right now. I think our kids are hungry and locked in, and we're very healthy as a program, which is a good thing. So yeah, it's going to be a big time challenge in a great game and in a cool environment, and you know, it's as close to a playoff feel as you're going to get, you know, as far as the atmosphere and the facility, then on top of the team we're playing. So it should be, man, a great way to introduce ourselves to Riverfront, you know, and all the people that will be there for that. So our work is definitely cut out for us. But yeah, we're certainly excited. I know our coaches, man, we respect those guys a ton, and they've played some really good football and lost some really close games this year.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, Coach. Well, thank you so much for your time, and best of luck coming up on Saturday at Riverfront Stadium.
Thank you, man.
Terry Harrison, head football coach of the Friends Falcons, here on the Friends Football Show on ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM. Friends now 7-2. Following a win over Bethel this past weekend, 43-0. 2 more games left. A game against Bethel College in a couple of weeks, which will be Senior Day, 1 o'clock. Looking forward to that at Adair Austin Stadium. But Friends is back in Wichita, just not at Adair Austin Stadium coming up on Saturday. Falcons taking on the Bulldogs of McPherson College on Saturday at Riverfront Stadium, 1 o'clock kick. Talking with Rod Ramsdyer. He did talk about tailgating and what to do there. It is allowed and it's highly encouraged. Yeah. So if you're watching this and wondering, well, can I do this? Yes, you can still have that same college football game day atmosphere that you have certainly known to love. So if you need more information, of course, you can go and check out the Wichita Wind Surge website. But should be a fun experience coming up on Saturday. Speaking of fun experiences, just go to Walk On Sports Bistro. Lots of fun out this way in Wichita on Maze Road. Just come out this way and experience the game day atmosphere with a bunch of TVs, but you can also experience that game day food with a Southern twist. It's at Walk On Sports Bistro here in Wichita. For Terry Harrison, I'm Pat Strathman saying so long. Thanks for watching another edition of the Friends Football Show on ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM. We'll see you next week as we'll have another edition from Walk On Sports Bistro. If you want to come watch us, you can. We'll be recording at 5 o'clock. And another programming note, coming up here soon, our first Friends Basketball Show. We'll be kicking things off with men's basketball head coach Phil McClintock. So that is coming up here before too long on ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you again next time here at Walk On Sports Bistro.